Military Tribunal number 6 will come to order. The tribunal will now proceed with the arraignment of the defendants in case number 6 pending before this tribunal. The Secretary General will call the roll of the defendants. Karl Krall.
Jawohl.
Hermann Schmitz.
Jawohl.
George von Schnitzler.
Jawohl.
Fritz Gajewski.
Gajewski.
Henrik Hörlein.
Hörlein.
August von Knierim.
Von Knierim.
Fritz Termeer.
Termeer.
Christian Schneider.
Schneider.
Otto Ambros.
Ambros.
Max Bruggemann.
May it please Your Honor, the defendant Bruggemann is at present in a hospital near Dusseldorf in the British zone of occupation. Bruggemann was served with the indictment on 18 June, 1947. 2 days prior, on 16 June, Bruggemann's counsel, Dr. Clayfish, filed a letter in the nature of a motion with the Secretary General asking that the proceedings against Bruggemann be temporarily quashed or separated from the trial of the other defendants, and that Bruggemann be released from custody in the interest of his health. The prosecution answered this motion on 24 June, and there appears to be no substantial conflict between the prosecution and the defense on this matter. Both the motion and the answer agree, on the basis of the medical reports, that the defendant Bruggemann is not at present able to stand trial without serious danger to his life. The prosecution in its answer has suggested, in accordance with the procedure which the International Military Tribunal adopted in the case of Gustav Krupp von Bohlen, that an order be entered herein postponing for an indefinite time the proceedings against Bruggemann, but directing that the charges in the indictment be retained upon the docket of the military tribunals for trial thereafter if the physical and mental condition of the defendant should permit. The tribunal may, of course, wish to have a further medical examination of Bruggemann before deciding this matter. So far as the prosecution is concerned, we would have no objection to the entrance of an order severing the proceedings against Bruggemann at this time. In accordance with Dr. Clayfish's request, and on the basis of the medical reports, Bruggemann was released from the Nuremberg jail on 7 July, and as I have said, he is presently hospitalized near Dusseldorf in the British zone where he is under surveillance.
The tribunal will pass upon that matter at the conclusion of the call of the defendants. You may proceed, Mr. Secretary. Ernst Bergen.
Bürgin.
Heinrich Wittefisch.
Wittefisch.
Paul Heffliger. Max Illner.
Irgener.
Friedrich Jana.
Jene.
Hans Kühne.
Kühne.
Karl Lottenschlager. Make some observation to the court with reference to this defendant. I may say to counsel,
After the indictment in this case was filed, the prosecution learned that the defendant Verster had sustained an injury to his right shoulder and that an operation had been performed and that Verster was hospitalized in consequence thereof. According to the advice of the French doctors who treated Wurster, it appeared that he could not be moved to Nuremberg, at least for several weeks. Accordingly, arrangements were made to serve the indictment on the defendant Wurster at Ludwigshafen in the French zone. And this was done by the Marshal of the Court on 20 June 1947. Thereafter, the defendant Wurster was further affected with a heart condition, which further delayed his transfer to Nuremberg. The defense counsel for Wurster, Dr. Wagner, has filed a motion requesting in the alternative that the defendant be discharged or that the proceedings against him be severed from the proceedings against the other defendants. The prosecution filed an answer to this petition on 25 July 1947, to which Dr. Wagner filed a further reply on the 4th of August. The defense motion and the answer. The prosecution has just received information that the defendant Wurster was examined on 12 August 1947 by an American military doctor and is advised that Wurster could now be transported under proper physical safeguards to Nuremberg. The prosecution will, when the court hears this matter, oppose Dr. Wagner's request that the proceedings be severed, although we, of course, have no objection to such further medical examination as the court may direct.
Walter Dürrfeld.
Dürrfeld.
Heinrich Gatineau.
Gatineau.
Erich von der Heide.
Von der Heide.
Hans Kugler.
Kugler.
May this honorable tribunal please all defendants except Max Bruggemann, Karl Wurster, and Karl Lautenschläger are present and in the dock. On the basis of the showings, now call the defendants now in the dock, one by one for arraignment. Karl?
Herr Präsident, ich bitte, bevor diese Frage gestellt wird, um die Erlaubnis, im Namen aller Verteidiger und aller Angeklagten eine kurze, grundsätzliche Erklärung zu dieser Frage abzugeben. Hohes Gericht, mein Name ist Böttcher, Dr. Konrad Böttcher, Rechtsanwalt und Verteidiger des Angeklagten Professor Dr. Krau. Ich spreche zugleich im Namen aller anwesenden Verteidiger. Es ist jetzt der Zeitpunkt gekommen, zwei grundsätzliche Einwendungen gegen das Verfahren vorzubringen. Ich behandle folgende zwei Punkte. Ich erhebe Einspruch gegen die Anklageschrift, da sie der in Ordonnanz Nummer 7 vorgeschriebenen Form nicht entspricht. Nach der Ordonnanz Nummer 7, Artikel 4, muss die Anklage in hinreichendem Maße und mit genügend Einzelheiten feststellen, um den Angeklagten über die ihm zur Last gelegten Vorwürfe zu unterrichten. Schluss des Zitats. Die Anforderung an das Indictment ist hier nicht genügt, und zwar weder für den Tatbestand der Conspiracy noch für die Teilnahmeformen des Kontrollratsgesetzes Nummer 10 in den drei ersten Anklagepunkten, die vom Grundsatz der individuellen Schuld beherrscht werden. Obwohl im Verfahren vor dem Internationalen Militärtribunal die Conspiracy als eine besondere Teilnahmeform des angelsächsischen Rechtes die Grundlage der Anklage bildete,